Welcome back to Record Rift, where we rip open the pages of history to uncover the stories that shaped our world. Today, we're diving into one of the most monumental events in human history, the fall of the Western Roman Empire in 476 CE. Imagine an empire so vast it spanned 3 continents, its legions feared, its cities glittering with marble and ambition. For over 1,000 years, Rome stood as a heartbeat of the Western world, its roads and laws binding millions. Yet by the 5th century, this titan of civilization was crumbling, its glory reduced to ashes. Why did Rome fall? Was it the relentless barbarian invasions, the rot of corruption within, or a fatal combination of forces? Over the next 20 minutes, we'll journey through the final centuries of the Western Roman Empire, exploring the battles, betrayals, and blunders that brought an empire to its knees. Grab a seat, and let's step into the twilight of Rome to understand Rome's fall. We first need to grasp its grandeur. At its height in the 2nd century CE, under emperors like Trajan and Hadrian, the Roman Empire was a colossus. It stretched from the foggy shores of Britannia to the deserts of Egypt, encompassing 5 million square kilometers and over 70 million people. Rome itself, the Eternal City, was a marvel of engineering. Aqueducts delivered fresh water, the Colosseum hosted roaring crowds, and the Forum buzzed with politics and trade. The legions, disciplined and loyal, guarded frontiers along the Rhine and Danube rivers, while Roman law and Latin unified diverse peoples. But this golden age had vulnerabilities. The empire's size was its strength and its curse. Defending thousands of miles of borders required vast resources, and the economy leaned heavily on conquest for slaves and wealth. By the 3rd century, the cracks were showing. The crisis of the 3rd century saw emperors assassinated, civil wars erupt, and inflation spiral as coins lost value. Emperor Diocletian's bold move to split the empire into East and West in 285, he aimed to make it manageable, but it sowed division. The Eastern Empire, with its wealthy capital in Constantinople, thrived. The West, centered in Rome and later Ravenna, began a slow decline. Let's zoom in on the Western Roman Empire's internal struggles. By the 4th century, Rome's economy was a mess. Heavy taxes to fund the military crushed farmers, while the elite hoarded wealth in lavish villas. The reliance on slave labor stifled innovation. Why invent machines when slaves did the work? Meanwhile, corruption festered. Senators and governors bribed their way to power, and loyalty to Rome faded as local leaders prioritized their own survival. The military, once the empire's backbone, was weakening. The legions, stretched across vast frontiers, increasingly relied on Germanic mercenaries who felt little allegiance to Rome. Discipline waned, and training deteriorated. Imagine a Roman general, once a symbol of iron resolve, now begging for recruits from tribes that once trembled before Rome's might. Religion added another layer of tension. The rise of Christianity, made official by Emperor Constantine in the early 4th century, transformed Roman culture. Some argued it softened the empire's martial spirit, as focus shifted from conquest to salvation. Others, like the Christian scholar Augustine, insisted it gave Rome a new moral purpose. Yet, pagans blamed Christians for abandoning the old gods who had protected Rome. This cultural divide deepened as temples were closed and churches rose. Politically, the empire was a revolving door of emperors. Some ruled for months, others for days. Between 235 and 285 CE alone, over 20 emperors came and went, many killed by their own troops. This instability left the West vulnerable, a wounded giant staggering under its own weight. Now, let's turn to the external forces battering Rome. The 4th and 5th centuries saw waves of barbarian tribes, Visigoths, Vandals, Ostrogoths, and others, pressing against Rome's borders. These weren't the savages of Roman propaganda, but complex societies seeking land, safety, and a share of Rome's wealth. The Huns, a nomadic people from Central Asia, added fuel to the fire. Led by the terrifying Attila, dubbed the Scourge of God, the Huns swept through Europe in the 430s and 440s, pushing other tribes into Roman territory. In 376 CE, the Visigoths, fleeing Hunnic attacks, begged to settle in Roman lands. Rome agreed but mistreated them, sparking rebellion. At the Battle of Adrianople in 378 CE, the Visigoths crushed a Roman army, killing Emperor Valens. It was a wake-up call. Rome was no longer invincible. The blows kept coming. In 410 CE, the Visigoth king Alaric sacked Rome itself, a psychological wound as much as a physical one. For 800 years, no foreign army had breached the city's walls. Diarist Priscus described panicked citizens fleeing as temples and homes burned. The Vandals followed, carving out their own kingdom in North Africa and sacking Rome again in 455 CE. These invasions exposed Rome's overstretched defenses. The empire's borders, once fortified by Hadrian's Wall and legionary forts, were now porous. Climate change didn't help. Cooler temperatures and droughts disrupted agriculture, weakening the economy further. By the 460s, the Western Empire was a patchwork of crumbling provinces. Britain was abandoned, Gaul was contested, and Italy was a battleground. The empire was bleeding, and its enemies smelled weakness. BY 476 CE, the Western Roman Empire was on life support. The last emperor, Romulus Augustulus, was a tragic figure, a boy of perhaps 15, crowned in 475 CE as a puppet of his father, Orestes, a Roman general. The real power lay with barbarian warlords like Ricimer, who pulled strings behind the throne. Romulus' name was ironic, Romulus, after Rome's mythical founder, and Augustulus, meaning Little Augustus, a nod to the first emperor. He ruled from Ravenna, a swampy fortress city, not Rome, which had lost its luster. The empire was a shadow, controlling little beyond Italy. Enter Odoacer, a Germanic chieftain of the Heruli tribe, leading a motley army of mercenaries. These were men Rome had hired to fight its battles, now disillusioned by unpaid wages and broken promises. In 476 CE, Odoacer saw his chance. He marched on Ravenna, and on September 4th, he deposed Romulus Augustulus without a fight. The boy emperor was spared, sent to live quietly in Campania, but the Western Empire ended. Odoacer declared himself king of Italy, not emperor. Why bother with the title? The empire was dead. He sent the imperial regalia, crown, scepter, and robes, to Constantinople, signaling the end of an era. The Eastern Roman Empire, or Byzantine Empire, endured for another 1,000 years, but the West fragmented into barbarian kingdoms. So, why did Rome fall? Historians have debated this for centuries. Edward Gibbon, in his 18th century masterpiece The Decline and Fall of the Roman Empire, blamed moral decay and Christianity's rise. Modern scholars point to a web of factors: economic collapse, over-reliance on mercenaries, climate shifts, and relentless invasions. The empire's sheer size made it ungovernable. Its diversity is strength, but also a source of division. Corruption eroded trust, and inequality fueled unrest. Sound familiar? Rome's fall wasn't a single event, but a slow burn, a centuries-long unraveling. Yet, Rome never truly died. Its legacy lives in our laws, languages, and architecture. Latin shaped Spanish, French, and Italian. Roman roads became medieval trade routes. Christianity, born in Rome's shadow, spread across the globe. The barbarian kings who carved up the West, Visigoths in Spain, Franks in Gaul, laid the foundation for modern Europe. The fall of Rome teaches us that even the mightiest empires are fragile, undone by greed, division, and hubris. It's a warning for today. No society is invincible. That's the story of the fall of the Western Roman Empire, a saga of glory, decline, and transformation. What do you think? Could Rome have survived, or was its fall inevitable? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and let us know what historical topic you want us to explore next on Record Rift. If you enjoyed this deep dive, hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell to join our journey through history. Until next time, keep chasing the stories that shape our world. This is Record Rift, signing off.